items. Any discussion on any? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 2. Conduct a public hearing on the proposed 2019 MSAS improvement project. Mr. Kaler, got anything on that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This is a public hearing on the 2019 MSAS improvement project. This project consists of a full or a total reconstruct of 5th North Street from Garden Street to the top of the hill at North Highland Avenue. The underground utilities, roadway, curb and gutter, et cetera, will be replaced. Myself and the consulting engineer have met with most of the property owners on this project with regard to the impact that it may have and the duration and things of that nature, as well as some temporary easement acquisitions that would be required. So I think we have answered a few questions already. I have not received any written comments on this project, so you could open it up.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody like to be heard on 5th North Street?
Is there a sidewalk considered on both sides this time, this reconstruction?
Mr. President, the sidewalk will basically be reconstructed the full length and then added to the north side where it is non-existing up. So yeah, we will have sidewalks on both sides of the street. We have some constrained issues that we can only have a 5-foot wide sidewalk on the lower portion, but we'll widen it out to 6 foot as we go up the hill whenever we can get that width available.
I had a constituent call me on that, concerned about on the south side, there's all those trees and it keeps its shadow with a lot of shadow, and then there's a lot icy and it doesn't, it's very unsafe to walk on, so they walk on the street or just because of the shadow and the way the sun comes up on that side, and so I think they're going to appreciate having the sidewalk on the other side as well. Have another option, a little more sun.
Any other questions, concerns? Anybody in the audience? No?
If nobody else wants to, I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading, close the public hearing, ordering the 2019 MSAS improvement project, and authorize the preparation of plans and specs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none. Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item, we get 2.2, conduct a public hearing on a noise variance for Green Mill and Best Western Plus Bachfest celebration. Public hearing, anybody like to be heard on that? And that's for Saturday, March 2nd, 2019, from 4 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Nobody wants to be heard? Entertain a motion?
I'll offer the resolution to close the public hearing and move to, what do I want to do? Offer to allow the permit for amplified music in the parking lot adjacent to the Green Mill and Best Western.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion?
We've not heard from anybody or any letters or calls or anything. Okay, just thought I'd double check.
Seeing none? Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 3.1, liquor license transfer for the Best Western. That'll be from April 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019.
I'll offer the motion to approve.
Second.
We got a, let's see, is this a public hearing one?
No.
No. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'm not sure, I understand that the background check was completed and the insurance. I don't know if they've provided other information regarding the owners of the corporation, or
As far as I know, they provided all the information they need.
They did, okay.
Janine will make sure they have everything before the permit's actually
okay,
issued.
thank you.
Any more discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4.1, Deer Control Program Summary. Chris?
Okay, so for this year, there were a total of 56 hunters that harvested 64 deer. 3 hunters harvested, or 6 hunters harvested 3 deers, 16 harvested 2 deers, 14 harvested 1, and 20 did not hunt or did not harvest any deers. This was the highest mark that had been set to date. So we averaged about 25 deer over the last, about the first 17 years. And then after that, we've been averaging around 59. So we're right on track. So if you want to continue with the deer hunt, you know, my recommendation is to reauthorize it for 2019, but the decision's up to you.
Thank you.
I know I've commented on this program for years, and I strongly support it. But I think we continue to tread water. We don't seem to get anywhere. I'm really, Rochester just had some concern of chronic wasting disease over there. I still hear about the herds that we have in New Ulm traveling around. I believe are in your backyard. I don't get as many complaint calls as I used to, but I don't know if people just feel that it doesn't go anywhere, or we're doing the best that we can. I know last year our city manager talked with DNR about trying to expand different areas where potentially they could shoot. I'd love it sometime if we could figure out a way to double this number and get ahead a little bit, but I don't know if there's any other options out there. I know DNR talked, we could do a sharpshooter program, but nobody really wants to go that route. But I just think if we can continue to talk with DNR about maximizing because we had quite a few people that hunted very few hours. And I know that was one thing we talked about, is if they're going to come from outside of New Ulm and come to New Ulm to shoot deer, to come and shoot, or come and sit in the woods, and some of them don't, or for very few hours. So I don't know if that's a license issue for next time. That's the only thing I saw in doing this, but otherwise I think it's a good program and I support it. And it cost us less than $500 last year, so.
And I know that a couple of sites had been moved when there wasn't a lot of traffic. Officer Honesy would look at moving the deer stands, or moving the site to somewhere else that had a little bit more traffic. So, it is flexible to move the sites.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I think it's a great program. I had to reach out to Jeff a couple times from a few constituents that were complaining about the excess deer in their yard and eating their trees and things of that nature. And he jumped right at it and met with the constituents and said, we'll move some stands and things of that nature and look at things. So, and I followed up with those constituents and they were satisfied. But, I think the herds are quite heavy in our community, and we still have to keep addressing it.
I've got one question. Are we going to look further with the officer in charge and the DNR opening up some other sites in New Ulm?
That's something that we can look
Okay.
into. Yeah, I can work with Jeff and
Do you think
the
it's something
DNR.
down in your ward?
Actually, if you go down in the Goosetown area, you can walk the bike trail 5 blocks and you can count 19 deer.
Okay.
Didn't you just do that?
Just did that.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, if not, I'll accept the 2018 summary, and we authorize the 2019 Special Archery Deer Hunt Program, Control Program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 5.1, ordinance number 19-030, fifth series, second reading.
Mr. President, unless the council would agree to waive the second reading, this is a very lengthy ordinance. Since it was brought before the council for the initial consideration, staff has put quite a bit of additional work into it, particularly Assistant City Engineer Stadheim, Dave Schnobrick, others, John Isley. And we've now got it, I think, to a point where all staff would recommend it. Again, the primary purpose is twofold. One is to have a more thorough management of the city's rights of way, and the other is to comply with the deadline of April 15th imposed by the FCC for New Ulm to impose some regulations regarding small cell wireless facilities that companies might want to put in our public rights of way. So, if anyone has any questions, staff is here, but otherwise, I think we've looked at a lot of different cities, ordinances, Minnesota and elsewhere, and we think we've got the best blend for now. It may need to be amended as things change in the future, as technology changes, as the laws change, but for where everything is at right now, we think this is the best arrangement we could ask you to approve.
Okay. Thank you, Roger. Anybody have any questions? Concerns?
I'll offer a motion to waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance 19-030, fifth series, amending 6.21 of the city code of the city of New Ulm relative to the right-of-way management.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 6.1, consider retail strategy as consultant.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris?
Yes, President, council members, this was brought to us. Les had met Retail Strategies out at a conference, League of Cities, or National League of Cities conference, and Justin Lindsay from Retail Strategies was kind enough to come out and talk with us and the chamber and members of the EDA and EDC about their services. And after that meeting, we had come to a consensus that we would like to have their services, and we were going to split the cost as the EDA pays $15,000, the New Ulm Economic Development Corporation is in for $10,000, and the New Ulm Chamber in for $5,000, and we're looking at asking the city to have their portion at $10,000. All three parties have agreed to contribute to the program and have put the funds in for the first year. We are the last, the city is the last portion that is missing, and we have Justin here tonight to explain what his company does, or what the company does, and can answer any questions that you have about the consulting.
And it's only a 3-hour presentation, so. You said 8 to 10 minutes, right?
About the length of a feature film, so 2.5, not quite 3. We'll have a restroom break halfway through, don't worry. 1 second here. Hopefully everyone can see that, possibly. Maybe not. So I'll give that a second. My name is Justin Lindsay, as both Mr. Dalton as well as Mr. Schultz had mentioned. Mayor, council, everyone else here, thank you so much for the opportunity this afternoon. I really appreciate it. So it's Justin Lindsay from Retail Strategies, and our address is 2200 Magnolia Avenue South, Birmingham, Alabama, where we have a few less snowflakes than you have here at present. But give it time, it might change. Just drag this over. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And this Control L. Perfect. Much better. I really will try to make this very, very truncated and keep it as cogent as possible. I really appreciate the opportunity to be in the market again. As Mr. Dalton mentioned, I had some opportunities to speak a couple of weeks back as well as today to further explore the community, learn more about what you guys have going on, and to hopefully lay the foundation for a very strong partnership moving forward. What I'll do is just dive right into our company and give you some background on my team here. We started in 2011, and the reason for that was because the two founders of our company are retail real estate brokers out of the Southeast. And every time they need to go into a municipal building to get a curb cut or a traffic signal approved, whatever it might be, 9 times out of 10, some person from the city would say, hey, while I have you here, would you mind if I showed you some data or some analysis on our market? And we'd say, sure, absolutely. And they'd sit down a very large, lengthy document that oftentimes was lined with dust. That's only slightly hyperbolic. What our founding fathers decided was, from our company, was that cities have enough data. They have enough of the analysis. What they need is more manpower, people who understand the retail real estate industry very intimately to serve as an extension of their staff. So just to give you kind of an overview of our qualifications, collectively, we possess 150 plus years of combined retail real estate experience. Every month we host webinars and think tanks with different national brands such as Kroger, ICSC, Retail Live, Golden Shovel, etc. We've been published in numerous publications as we strive every day to make sure that we are being good stewards of the information that we're given, as well as the experience that we're carrying out in our respective Minnesota, Great Lakes, and national markets. We also noticed, this isn't to brag on us, but to draw attention to the fact that our president, Lacey Beasley, was named in 2018 one of the top influencers in commercial real estate, as well as our chief development officer was named a rising star in commercial real estate. So all this is really laid out before you to demonstrate that we really want to make sure that we come to the table with a lot of credentials behind us. And when reviewing your market, I understand that you have a couple of opportunities in front of you. Number one, the goals that most communities have, and I'm sure is the same here, is to increase and bolster sales tax revenues, to create jobs in the process, to improve the quality of life here in New Ulm, as well as to attract new businesses and to bring new concepts to the market. Along with those goals come challenges. First of all, we understand that whenever you're pursuing tax revenues, sometimes resources are limited. And when you're taking a look at job creation, there is a lot of time involved in that entire process. As well as when you're taking a look at the connections and quality of life, it's hard to necessarily have all the right retail real estate connections most of the time, as well as the experience to carry that out. I have no doubt that everyone in this room is extremely qualified and could make a concerted effort, but unfortunately, retail real estate is an ongoing, everyday process. So the biggest thing that we offer to you is putting time back into your schedules and really letting us to be, or allowing us to be more or less of a golden retriever to go out there and fetch those deals, bring them back, and help you navigate the ever-changing real estate market. Our process starts with a discovery phase. The first 90 days, we want to understand everything we can about a market. Now, I will go ahead and tell you this is the creepiest thing that I will show you right now during this presentation. This is a mobile data collection an analysis that I ran just as an initial analysis off of the Walmart Supercenter over there on 1720 Westridge Road. You'll notice it kind of looks like a storm system passing through a radar. What that shows is all the cell phone signals over a 1-year period that entered into that Walmart. Presumably, most of those people aren't just taking laps in Walmart, getting their steps in for the day. They're likely shopping. So when we took a look at that on paper, New Ulm has a certain population number based upon the corporate limits. However, as you zoom out and take a look at that data, you're looking at a market and a customized trade area of well over 38,000 citizens and consumers and shoppers. They possess about an average household income of $67,000. I don't need to tell you those are numbers right there that a lot of communities would be very envious of. You have a very strong market, and you've already got some great momentum heading into this conversation. So taking a look at this, on the left-hand side is a sample of something we run. It's called a gap analysis. You might be familiar with it. But what it essentially shows is an example of how many dollars are leaving the community on goods and services and being spent elsewhere outside of the limits of New Ulm. On the right-hand side, I did conduct a customized peer analysis, which compares New Ulm to about 4 or 5 other communities that are similar. No community is truly like you, but on paper, what are the parameters we could take a look at to see if we can compare apples to apples? And that concluded with about 14 or so restaurants and retailers that could be a potential fit for this market that are already in other markets that have not yet made their way here. So our goal would be to direct their gaze to this market. During that time period of discovery, we also conduct something called a BOG, or Boots on the Ground Assessment. What that is where our portfolio director will actually drive through, and other members of our team will take time during that discovery process, if we're able to move forward, and drive through the market, taking a look at what's actually taking place here in the market from a real estate standpoint. We can look at numbers all day from a screen, but until you actually go through the good old-fashioned windshield test and see what's underutilized or could be possibly repositioned for higher and better use, it doesn't really give you the full picture. So that's something we do. We also want to make sure that when we're conducting this entire analysis that there are a couple different metrics that equate to, more or less of a better term, home run real estate. Home run real estate for a retailer or a restaurant that's looking to move into New Ulm for expansion to make more money and to be able to serve that community. Number one, they want to see great parking. They want to see high visibility and signage, easy access. They're also going to take into account traffic counts, co-tenancy, which means who are my neighbors? Who are the other retailers and businesses that are driving traffic and people toward my location? I can't be on an island by myself. They also want to take a look at convenience. So with all that in mind, we conduct that boots on the ground analysis. We go through that discovery process, and this is kind of where we are right now, and I promise I'll wrap this up shortly. The next thing that we want to be able to do after we've gone through understanding the opportunity for retail and our process and what's taking place from a discovery standpoint is we want to connect and make sure that after we've taken a look at all the different data analysis, we want to put 2 and 2 together, not just collecting dots, but making those dots connect to the right people within the industry and consistently staying on top of them to give you the highest odds for expansion into the market. I like to briefly pause and just say, if you don't remember anything before this or after this is a particular slide that I'd like for you to take away. These are the people that we dedicate toward New Ulm and making sure that we are giving you the best possible chance of a retailer, a restaurant, or expanding businesses taking a look at the market. Beth Miller there in the top left-hand corner is our portfolio director. She has a very large amount of experience where she's brokered, leased, managed, or developed at least millions of square footage of retail space in different categories. So she understands that. Not only that, she's had a very long, successful track record in the Great Lakes region and here in Minnesota as well. The rest of the people on this staff are people that literally walk by my desk or Beth's desk every other day asking about our markets, how they can help, how they can be a multiplier. So when you consider partnering with us and you consider an agreement with us, you're not just working with me, you're working with an entire team of people who are dedicated only for our communities in the Great Lake region. One very important aspect of all this process is to obviously understand the real estate here in New Ulm, to be able to walk through the data and analytics of your consumers and the market. But all that information by itself doesn't do too much unless you put some legs on it and have it walk and jog out into the marketplace. So what we do is we attend all the events that ICSC offers that are pertinent to this area. We attend roughly 15 or so or more conferences per year. If you're not familiar, ICSC is the International Council of Shopping Centers. The shot that you see right there is from the Las Vegas event where there's roughly 45,000 people in attendance. The majority of those are people from the retail realm, as well as brokerage, development, real estate management, etc. So our goal is to make sure that whenever we represent you in conferences, we wear your name across our chest and say to these different decision makers, this is why you should consider expanding into this market. How can we help you find a site? What questions do you have about that site? And how can we get you connected with the landowners as well as key influencers in that community that can help you move into that market and expand in 2019, 20, and beyond? So conference representation is very, very pivotal, but understanding all those different pieces is something that we are very adept at and the reason why we have this conversation in the first place. We want to be in the center of all these different areas. Local brokers or landowners that are here in New Ulm are going to interface with developers, with other property owners. They're also going to interact with people here in this room, with community leaders. And at the center of all of that, as well as retailers and tenant reps, we want to be that advocate, somebody who is constantly going out and telling people about this marketplace and helping people internally as well to make sure that we're all growing together in this partnership. Part of what we do is establish within the first 90 days or so a marketing guide. That's pretty much a way for retailers to do a checklist of what they want to see in a market. We put that together in a very transparent and very advantageous way to make sure that people from outside of this community can see exactly what's taking place from a numbers standpoint, as well as from co-tenants and other retailers that are already existent here. Retailers like to co-locate next to other retailers. It's the same reason why you can drive through a Walmart Supercenter and probably see some of the same names as you typically see at other Walmart Supercenters. That's because they want to be around a big retail presence and a lot of traffic. So those different trends we pick up on and put into not only that marketing flyer format, but also in a city site. That's a evergreen website that we develop after the first 90 days or so that serves as an extension of the website. But we also understand these days if a city is not having a very vibrant online retail presence from a digital standpoint, oftentimes it might be overlooked. So we decided to start adding that in a number of years back to make sure that you're visible not only at conferences and when we're speaking on your behalf, but also that we can make something that lives on our site. We can manage and show off all these different metrics that have maps, demographics, school systems, the number of major employers and what they're doing, as well as major retail sites with the zones and locations and ordinances, etc. Our goal in all this is to make sure we're persistent. Persistence is really the crucial ingredient to making sure that we're educating people on your market and helping this market to grow. Our ongoing efforts can really be broken down into 3 different areas. Number one, all this has to be tied together with extremely consistent, transparent communication. So our first opportunity is to make sure that we give you strategy updates. As we're putting this strategy together between day 0 and 90, you understand exactly what we're doing and we want your feedback. We welcome that. We also want to make sure you understand where we are in our efforts and you can hold us accountable to understand exactly what we're doing. Because retail real estate takes a long time to come about. Typical transaction can go from 18 to 36 months or beyond. So our goal is to make sure we're doing everything we can to push that through the process and find the right fit for the community that complements existing businesses here. We also want to keep you updated. We want to make sure that you understand or have access to retail expansion and different trends that are taking place in the marketplace, because it really shifts nearly on a second-to-second basis. We also want to serve as your research concierge. As we pull all that data and information, we want you to have access to that from whoever our main contact is with the city, so that you can come back and local business owners can also come back and take a look at that information, help them to inform their decisions as well. I want to briefly talk about successes in the region. Here's a truncated list of different retailers we've been able to attract to the Great Lakes region. You'll notice that some of these names on there you've seen are national names. The reason why is because if we were to put up major local names, a lot of times communities wouldn't understand who they are. And there are also several retailers missing from this list because there are some that are currently going through the process, so we have to remain and keep confidential. Otherwise, we compromise the sanctity of that deal we can't yet announce. But this is to give you a broad spread of what we're able to do. Success for us is recruiting every day on your behalf. We hope that culminates in the opening of a new retailer or restaurant. That's something that takes a long time. But this is to give you an idea as to what kind of businesses we've been able to bring to the region so far and the kind of success we've had in markets. So with all that said, and I kept it well under 2.5 hours, hopefully, I'd love to answer any questions that you might have about my team and the partnership that we'd like to be able to gain with New Ulm.
Anybody have any questions?
I have some comments, but I don't know if everybody else got some questions first. You want to talk about that you're working in a couple other places in Minnesota?
We currently partner with Rosemont and Albert Lee.
And where are you at in that?
Both of those were right at the year mark. I want to say Albert Lee came on a little bit after Rosemont, so I want to say we'll be at the year mark here with them here in March. Both communities are great communities, and it's one of the reasons why when we take a look at markets like New Ulm, we want to make sure they're kind of in that sweet spot for us, which is where you are. We see a lot of green grass ahead of us in Minnesota, and the reason why I'm so excited about the potential of this partnership is because we've already laid a lot of ground in terms of attracting the right kind of conversations with retailers and developers. So whenever they ask us about Rosemont and Albert Lee, we'll also be able to point to other people like New Ulm in the region, assuming we're able to lock arms and move forward.
I know when I went to the National League of Cities Conference 2 years ago is when I met Justin and some of his staff at his company, and we had lost target, and it was like, we should get serious with these people, and there was some dialogue, but not a lot of pushing. And then when I came back this year, it's like, okay, we just lost Herberger's and Ace Hardware, and it's like, no, we need to do something. And I think the people expect us, I think, in our community to step up and see what we can do to improve our retail business, not only downtown, but in our city overall. So I strongly support this. I think I like their system. What I really like how we have it set up, that 4 entities are all throwing money in the game. So it's not just city council running this, it's the chamber that's strongly supporting this, the EDA that strongly supported it last week. Last week, the New Ulm ADC approved it. So we're all saying, we're in this together. Let's see what we can do about improving our retail world in New Ulm, and I think we have to. We've been losing enough businesses that people are getting nervous, and I think we need to see what we can do to fill some of the stores. So that's my comments. If there's now my computer died on me.
You talked long enough, they all went down, didn't they?
Well, and I think we're looking at wanting
to us, so no, it's not your fault.
We're wanting to have the contract effective March 1st, that he can represent New Ulm when they go to their first meeting in first week of March. So if there isn't any other questions, I will offer a motion to authorize the city manager to execute and sign the agreement to hire the retail strategies as a consultant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Briefly, Chris provided me with a copy of the proposed contract with this company. Just to be clear, this is a 3-year commitment at $40,000 a year.
No, it's the plan is to renew it each year, my understanding, right, Chris?
Yep.
The intention, that'll probably be 3 years, but I think it's a year-to-year
Well,
contract.
that's why I'm asking, because
Yep.
the contract doesn't say that. We need to amend that, just
Oh, okay.
so we're clear on that.
Okay.
The other thing, and this is getting into details, but I believe that Kara Nauf has been performing some of this on behalf of the city thus far, and I think that the company would be tying in with her as kind of a local representative, which would be probably a really good idea. But, again, the way the contract is worded, the company wants to identify a local representative. It's one thing, I think, to be in communication with Kara on a day-to-day basis. As the way the contract is worded, it would give Kara the authority to sign consents, documents, et cetera, for the city. I don't think we want to be doing that. I think that the
Yeah.
city manager would properly be the person for
And I
that.
had talked with Justin, and we addressed those issues, so we're going to get a revised copy
Okay.
back, so.
All right,
yeah.
that's the only comments I had then. Thanks.
And we're thinking the point person then would be,
In the contract would be me, and then, whether it's Kara or someone else as the day-to-day person, we can decide as that collective group. If it's me, Kara, someone from the EDC or the EDA, I mean, that's really up to that collective four group to decide who that person is. But as far as the contract goes, it would be me as the point person.
and the city of New Ulm would be the financial host, and they would bill the other three entities. And then, I'm assuming after 9 months, we would review the contract, so there'd be a decision made to move forward or not, and for the second year, and then so on.
Yeah.
After that, we could approve multiple years if that's what we so desire as a council.
Are we going to be receiving a monthly report or
Want to talk about?
every other month
The
or?
reason why we stray away from a monthly report is sometimes we're going to tell you the exact same thing we said for last month. Usually it's going to be a quarterly report. You'll also find reports that'll be released throughout different regional retail trends, and usually within about 3 to 5 weeks after a conference. I mentioned earlier today in my conversations that we held roughly more than 400 meetings during 2.5 days in Las Vegas this past year. Anticipate probably having more than that. So the issue there is when you come back from that trip, there's a lot of information to download. So we don't want people to think that when we return from a conference or whatever it might be that we're trying to keep you in the dark. We're trying to make sure we pull all that information together. But yes, there are routine, regular updates. And of course, I mentioned as well, there's cell phones on the back of those business cards and the people we have here. So our company policy really is if I say I will, then I will. We want to make sure we're very transparent and get back to you anytime you request.
And you did have a special request that this contract was approved. You wanted, had something had to be in the contract. What was that again?
Ice fishing, for sure, because I haven't done that yet. Believe it or not, the only professional sports we have in Alabama are Auburn. I can't remember if Alabama played in the national championship game or not. I'm kind of blanking on that. It's kind of they were very
We do have some
emotionally
ice
trying
fishermen
game.
at this table, so, and women.
That is contingent in
I
there,
think
so
you did.
please make that happen if you can.
If you want to catch fish, Dave is the person.
Okay, all right.
We were just bragging about it earlier.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Item 6.2, 2018 year-end transfers and encumbrances. Nicole?
Oh.
You have it? What? Oh, Nicole, go ahead.
This is an annual process that we go through. All the department heads have reviewed their end of the year results that we have up to this point. They've gone through their expenses and requested any carryovers from things that were not spent in the 2018 budget. So once these are approved, we would make those adjustments to the 2019 budget.
Okay.
I just have one comment. I noticed the Park and Rec director isn't here. I mean, they're going to be in this year asking
Two
us.
here.
Oh, he is. He was
hiding
hiding
around-
back there.
He was hiding in the corner.
You were hiding. Tom, if you could just come up and we got like 158,000 you want to carry over. What specifically the Mueller Park, North Park, Skeet Range, I probably understand. I mean, are those wish list projects or just didn't get to this year?
Tom Schmitz, Park and Recreation Department, President Schmitz and counselors. These are projects that have been budgeted, approved, and purchase orders have been approved. These are projects that we just didn't get done. The contractors were too busy, and winter came early. These are all approved projects, and I can go through them. You know, the trap range improvements, grant fully reimbursed by the DNR and donors. Dog Park is the ADA accessible entrance on the north side of the dog park. North Park are backstop replacements and dugout improvements. Miller Park is the shade structure above the grandstand. And the two, Johnson and Miller together is replacement of egg lime on the infields. Civic Center is HVAC control updates.
Okay.
Those are the projects.
Thank you.
I had a question on the tree commission. They have a balance of $2,072, and they want to have it carried over. Is it that they did not purchase the trees, or they just want to purchase more trees in this coming year?
I believe it's not for the purchase of trees, it's for the programs they use to, for disease control and,
The programs, but wouldn't that already be budgeted in their normal budget?
yes, but I don't know, Steve, I know they
Mr.
asked you to-
President, I think the tree commission is of the judgment or opinion that the emerald ash borer is going to hit us very soon, and they wanted to have a little cushion with regard to education and moving toward implementing the process that they've planned on when that hits. So they have budgeted for the normal things, tree reimbursement and education, so it's just to pad their budget slightly. I think they're at $6,000 per year now. So they don't have a specific expenditure in mind at this time, but they are requesting it as a carryover, so it's your decision.
And I did hear some good news. I thought I heard with the really cold weather that it might have taken care of that problem, or a large part of it.
I'm not a tree expert, I guess I
Yeah,
couldn't comment on that.
There was
I
some
would be
article-
surprised if it did.
Nice. I'm going to recommend that be deleted. I just, I don't see a specific expense for it. They can always come back and ask for additional money, but I just don't think it should be an automatic rollover just because it wasn't spent.
I guess I agree with that.
And if they need it, they can certainly come back. Not that I'm not supportive of it, but if they need some funds, they can certainly come back and
Right.
talk to us. That was the only one I had a question on.
Any more concerns? Not entertain a resolution?
So I'll offer resolution to waive the reading approving the recommended 2018 year-end transfers and encumbrances, with the exception of the tree commission amount.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none? Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6.3, schedule a public open house for the roundabout improvement project. Mr. Gaylor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We have we're in the process of preparing a project for a mini roundabout or a roundabout improvement project at North Highland Avenue and Oak Street. The City Council did authorize the hiring of a consultant. So we progressed to the point where we'd like to have an open house. We've discussed it with ISD 88, and we'd have it in the atrium of their high school up near the vicinity of the improvement, and show them the concept and answer any questions and receive input. So it's something we'd like to do with regard to getting the word out that this project's coming and getting their input.
Okay, that's from 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, March 6, 2019, at District 88 Auditorium, atrium. Okay, I don't think we need a motion on that. Item 6.4, rename a section of the Boundary Street. Mr. Schnurberg.
Dave Schnurberg, Community Development Director. This is really kind of a housekeeping item. Technically, right now, we have a street 60 feet wide, 30 feet is named Ryan Road, and the other 30 feet is named Boundary Street. And so by taking this action tonight to rename it, we'll have the 60 feet named Ryan Road.
So you could go up one way on one street and back in the same one? It'd
That's
be
a
different.
thought. Or we could have houses on one side with a Ryan Road address, as houses on the other side with Boundary Street. It'd be kind of unique.
There you go. Thank you, Dave.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading, approving the renaming of the section of Boundary Street located doesn't between Birchwood Drive and Maplewood Drive as Ryan Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. And with no other business, meeting adjourned.